Morning, guys. It is Wednesday, the 13th of January. Mr. Banwell here. I'm in a different room today, keeping you on your toes. I'm up in year 6. I'm in Mr. Hollick's room today. Mr. Hollick's working from home at the moment, so a nice, quiet, warm space for me to tell you about our English lesson today. A really nice one. Do you know what? I don't even think you're going to need a pen or a pencil. We're going to do a bit of an oracy lesson. Oracy meaning verbalizing. So we're going to be using our voices today, and we're going to be coming up with a bit, some actions to do a bit of drama with as well, because I've got a brand new story that I'd like to introduce to you today. So don't worry too much about getting a pen and pencil. If you've got one near you, then great, because there might be a little bit later. What else do I need to tell you? Well done yesterday. Your cold tasks were fantastic. Okay, lots of positives coming out of that. I saw many of you using features of fairy tales. Maybe you didn't even know you were using them, but you were. Some great efforts, all right? Please, just a little reminder, handwriting, even if you're writing at home, it's still an opportunity for you to have a go with your pen license, okay? So your handwriting really does need to be its best all the time, because as soon as you come back to school, if you've been doing amazing handwriting at home, we can definitely give you your pen license if that's the case, all right? So keep that up, please. Those of you that haven't let their handwriting slip, keep that up, because it's really, really important, okay? So I'm going to share my screen with you because I do want to show you what we are doing today. So we are today, as I said to you previously, going to be looking and listening to a fairy tale and retelling it, all right? And it says here, rehearsing simple sentence orally. So orally means verbally, okay? I've just spoken to you about your cold task yesterday, lots of positives, and we hopefully you had some feedback from your teachers regarding those yesterday. So well done for all the effort you put into those, okay? So today, let's start off with our prefix starter. So can we have a look at the words on the board here? Like, appear, honest, believe, liked, appeared. All right, so choose a word and write a short sentence using that word. I'm going to say let's do it verbally. So for example, I've chosen the word like, and I said, I like apples, full stop. Okay, a very, very simple sentence. All right, so what can you do to the word to give it the opposite meaning? So if I had the word like, and I want to give it, I want to say that I don't like apples, or perhaps I don't like bananas, what would I say? Would I say I unlike apples, or I dislike apples? Let's have a look. I've done bananas, I think. Yes, I have. I dislike bananas. Okay, so it's choosing un or dis to do the opposite of what you're saying in your sentence. Okay, so that is how the prefix changes the word meaning. All right, so maybe have a go. Pause the video now. So verbally, if you're in class, you can talk to your partner next to you and have a go at changing some of these words to the opposite. Say a sentence and see if your partner can come up with the opposite. If you're at home, just speak out loud wherever you are, okay? And have a go and see if you can make it make sense. So for example, choose one, whatever word it is, and then change it to the opposite. Okay, so pause that now and have a go. Okay, I'm going to move on now. So we are writing target for this term. We are going to eventually be able to hopefully use commas to punctuate our speech. All right, so that's not changed. Alrighty, so let's get cracking with this lesson. I'm quite excited about this. It is one of my favourite ever stories. You will probably recognise it. Now, I know Miss Ryan's been reading you The Sheep Pig, and in that story there, hopefully she's got onto it already. They introduced the main character. The main character is called Babe. All right, now I want you to imagine that Babe had 3 children, okay, and I'm going to introduce them to you in today's story, okay. You may have heard this story before. I've twisted it a bit. I'm trying to make it a bit more interesting for you. The aim of this lesson is, by the end of this lesson, we're going to create some actions. We're going to use our talk for writing actions to be able to retell this story. So what I want you to do first of all is listen, okay? Listen to the story. You can always come back to this page when you're doing the activity and pause it on this page so that you can see. I'm actually going to make the page, see if I can make it full screen. So that way, yes, I can. That way you'll be able to see all of the writing. So it's a little bit small, okay? If I can read it, you should be able to read it. Okay, so yeah, come back to this page when you're retelling it so that you can use the writing if you get stuck. Okay, so I'm going to read the story to you. I've got some things near me that I'm going to use to help me and see how much of it you can remember. But most of all, just sit back and enjoy it. All right, so once upon a time, there was a pig called Babe, but he was so much more than a normal pig. He was a magical pig who could speak. He had 3 children: Percy, Pepper, and Penny. He soon realised that they would not be able to live on Farmer Hoggett's farm. There would not be enough room for them, and Babe feared that Mrs. Hoggett would want to eat them, just as she had wanted to eat Babe when she first met him. So, when they were old enough, he sent them out into the world. "Go, my little ones, and explore the world. Just make sure you build yourself somewhere safe for yourselves to live in case the treacherous wolf finds you. He may still be out there somewhere," said Babe. So off they went. The first pig, Percy, was very lazy. He didn't want to work, and he built his sty out of straw. The second pig, Pepper, worked a little bit harder, but he was a little lazy too, and he built his sty out of sticks. However, the third pig, Penny, worked hard all day and built her sty with bricks. It was a sturdy house, complete with a fine fireplace and chimney. It looked like it could withstand the strongest of winds. The next day, the treacherous wolf happened to pass by the lane where the 3 little pigs lived. He saw the straw house and he could smell the pig inside. He thought the pig would make a mighty fine meal, and his mouth began to water. So he knocked on the door and said, "Little pig, let me in, let me in." But Percy saw the wolf's big paws through the keyhole. So he answered back, No, not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin." Then the wolf showed his big teeth and snarled. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down." So he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house down. The wolf opened his jaws very wide and bit down as hard as he could. But Percy escaped and ran away to hide with Pepper. The wolf was angry and continued down the lane until he came across a house made of sticks. It was Pepper's house. He smelled the pigs inside and his mouth began to water as the thought about the fine dinner they would make. So he knocked on the door. Little pigs, let me in, let me in. But the little pigs saw the wolf's pointy ears through the keyhole, so they answered back. No, not by the hairs on my chinny chin. So the wolf showed his teeth and said, then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. So he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house down. The wolf was greedy and he tried to catch both pigs at once. But he was too greedy and he got neither. His big jaws clamped down on nothing but air, and the two little pigs scrambled away as fast as their little hooves would carry them. The wolf chased them down the lane and he almost caught them, but they made it to Penny's house just in time. They ran inside the brick house and slammed the door closed before the wolf could catch them. The three little pigs were very frightened. They knew the wolf wanted to eat them. The wolf hadn't eaten all day and had worked up a large appetite chasing the pigs around. And now he could smell all three of them inside. He knew that the three little pigs would make a lovely feast. So the wolf knocked on the door and said, Little pigs, let me in. But the little pigs saw the wolf's narrow eyes through the keyhole, so they answered back. No, not by the hairs on our chinny chin. So the wolf showed his teeth and said, then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your hairs down. So he huffed and he puffed and he huffed and he huffed and he puffed and he puffed, but he could not blow the house down. At last, he was so out of breath that he couldn't huff and he couldn't puff anymore. So he stopped to rest for a bit and had a think. But it was too much. The wolf danced about with rage and swore he would come down the chimney, and he ate up the little pigs for his supper. But while he was climbing onto the roof, Penny made a blazing fire and put a pot full of water on it to boil. Then, just as the wolf was coming down the chimney, the little piggy pulled off the lid and plop, the wolf fell into the scalding water. As quick as a flash, Penny put on the cover and they boiled the wolf up. The three little pigs then ate him for supper. Ooh. Okay, so that is the end of my story, Babe's Three Little Pigs. I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to make it a bit more interesting, and hopefully you'll remember a story that it came from. Okay, I just tailored or just changed it slightly, the original story of the Three Little Pigs. However, it was quite a gruesome ending, so I apologise for that if you didn't like it. So let's have a think now. If I ask you to have a read through it yourself, okay, I would like you to do that now. So you can pause the video, okay, and read back through it, all right? Because what we're going to do is actually start coming up with the main points of the story, and then we're going to start putting some actions in so that we can start remembering it. Okay. The reason we do this, okay, in fact, sorry, let's stop the video and read through the story first. Okay. If you're in class, you can start talking about what your favorite parts were, okay, and why. Which part of the story did you like best, all right? And what we're going to do today is start using some talk for writing actions. Now, the reason we do this is because it's a 3-step process. So what we say is that to be able to write something, you need to, first of all, be able to understand it. Okay, once you can understand it, you can then verbalize it. When you're verbalizing something, it makes understanding and then writing something as well. It almost goes hand in hand. So the reason we get you to act it out, the reason we get you to draw pictures, which we'll be doing next lesson, okay, it just helps us remember things and how stories are structured so that we can then hopefully do a good retell of our story later in the week or early next week. All right, so on here, look, I've got some ideas from other children. This talk for writing is up and down the country. Many schools use it as a method of writing and story writing, in fact, all writing. So it's a really tried and tested method, which is really good. So this one here, okay, once upon a time is simply opening the book. Okay, and then the rest I think are fairly self-explanatory, okay, and it tells you a little about how to do it underneath. So I'm just going to stand up for this so you can see. So you've got next, which is just a pointing to the side there. But, okay, is fingers down, okay, that's but. Because is hands out like that, okay, so when we come to the word because in the story, we can do that. At that moment, okay. Unfortunately, sometimes I do a thumbs down for unfortunately, because unfortunately means something bad's happening. So I can do a thumbs down. This girl on here has her hands out to the side, but I think that's quite similar to because. So I think unfortunately might be a good one to do like that. After that, okay. However is like a thinking face. However, okay, and then the little girl shown eventually with her hands on her hips like that. Okay, so we're going to come up with some actions now, or in a second. We're going to go through, first of all, the main points of the story, just so that we've got an idea of how the story went. Remember, you can always go back to back in the video and have a look at the story. What I'm also going to do is add the story onto the post. So if you're not sure, or if you want to go back and have a read of it, I'm going to add it onto the PDF, onto the attached file, so that you can see the story and read it back to yourself. Okay, so what are the main points in this story? Let's just have a think. I'm going to hopefully go through them with you and make some notes. Now, haven't got a board pen with me. I'm writing with my mouse. So in fact, let's change that. I'm going to try and type it in instead. That'll be easier. Okay, so what are the main points? What order do they happen? If you're in class, you can actually do this. So you can pause the video now and see if you can order the story in which it happens, and what chronological order it comes in. So to start with, like all good fairy tales start, once upon a time. Once upon a time, and I'm just going to put dot, dot, dot. Now, at the start, it told us about Babe and how Babe had grown up on this farm, and how that Babe wanted his children to go off into the world and find a new house to live in. So I'm just going to put once upon a time. I'm just making notes here, so this isn't in proper sentences. We've taken notes before, so hopefully you'll be able to do that. This might be an opportunity just for you to get some scrap paper so that later when you're retelling the story, you know which order it comes in. So once upon a time, and I think in the first paragraph, yes it is, they introduced the characters. So the characters' names, can someone remind me? It was Percy, Pepper, and Penny. Okay, so he introduces the characters, and they said you had, unfortunately, there was not enough room on Farmer Hoggett's farm, so they'd have to go and go off into the world. Okay, so I'm just going to put that, go off into the world. What do you think she meant by that, the writer, or the person the author of this story? Okay, maybe wants to stop and discuss that. Okay, I think if they're talking about going off into the world, it means that they want them to go and start their own lives. Okay, so go and make, instead of growing up on the farm, they need to go and create their own future. So go and find somewhere to live. Okay, get a job and all the rest of it. Okay, so that's how the story starts. They introduce the characters and they tell us that they're going off into the world. The rest of it now is fairly straightforward, because it actually follows the same format as the original story of the Three Little Pigs. So the first pig was called, do you remember? Percy. Well done. Okay, so Percy goes off into the world, and what did Percy make his house out of? He made it out of straw. Okay, I'm just on the third paragraph actually. Pepper, they tell us what they make their houses out. Pepper made his house out of sticks, and Penny went and made hers out of bricks. Okay, so they tell us what they actually make their house out of, which is makes it easy for us. All right, and that final sentence in that paragraph said it looked like it could withstand the strongest winds. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in there actually. Okay, full stop. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on. Another main point. So what happened after that? Well, I know that the big bad wolf was walking along the lane. I'm just on paragraph 4. So the next day. So for the next day, you could do something, if you're doing your actions, something like that. Okay, going over. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the next day. ... Okay, the treacherous wolf was walking by the lane, and what did he see? Well, he saw the straw house. Okay, and the rest we know. He went up to the straw house, he knocked on the door and said, little pig, let me in. But Percy was very quick and ran away. So he huffed and puffed, he opened his jaws, but missed. Okay, so he blew the straw house down, but Percy ran off to, where did he go? He went to Pepper's house. So I'm just going to add that in there. Okay, the wolf was angry. He continued down the lane until he came across a house made of sticks. Okay, I'm just going to put that in there. The wolf was angry, ... So he continued down the lane until he came across a house made of sticks. And we know as well that he wasn't very successful here. Okay, he could smell the pigs inside and his mouth began to water. All right, as he thought about it, the fine dinner they would make. So he knocked on the door and said, little pigs, okay, and we know the rest of it. So little pigs, let me in. Not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin. So he huffed and puffed, blew the house down, but the two pigs made it to Penny's house. I'm just going to put there that was angry. I'm just making notes. He blew the house of sticks down. Okay, and then ran off to, and they ran off to Penny's bricks. I'm just going to put there. Penny's brick house. Okay, so that's a really rough guide for the story. Okay, so again, if you've ever read it, you'll know the story and how the story goes. All right, so what I'm going to do though, I think actually one of the hardest parts is the first paragraph, because that's fairly new. So what I'm going to get you to do, again, we need to see if we can learn this story. That's the whole point of today's lesson, is to be able to learn it. So what I'm going to get you to do is either go back to, so rewind the video and go back to the story where you can see it all. Go onto the attachments and start reading it, okay? We're going to go to, we need to get to and need to see the first paragraph. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to say it orally, so verbally, okay? Then tomorrow we're going to draw it pictorially, okay? Which will be a laugh because my drawings are terrible, but hey, I don't mind that. And then finally, we're going to start thinking about how we can put it into writing, all right? So let's start on the first paragraph, okay? I'm going to need to stand up for this, okay? And I'm going to try and go through, all right, the story myself. Now, I know the story pretty well because I've taught it before. However, okay, each year I get to a point where I'm trying to reenact the story, and it can be quite difficult. So bear with me, okay? I'm going to practice until I get it absolutely perfectly correct, all right? Okay, so the first sentence in the story says, once upon a time, there was a pig called Babe. All right, what I'm going to do for this, I'd love to see some pictures of you, or maybe even videos if parents would like to video. Sorry, that light in the background is probably making things slightly more tricky. If I can block it with my big head, there we go. So what I'm going to say, if you can video it, great. If not, just take some photos of you acting out your story. All right, so the first sentence, once upon a time, there's a pig called Babe. I'm going to go for once upon a time. I think that opening of a story is a really good visual of a book opening, once upon a time. Okay, so once upon a time, and for pig, okay, that's actually a Makaton sign, okay, which helps deaf people, okay, to understand words. Makaton for pig is that, okay? So I'm going to say, once upon a time, there was a pig called Babe. He was so much more than a normal pig. He was a magical pig. What could I do for that, do you think? Okay, maybe I could do something like, he was a magical pig, okay, who could speak. And for speak, okay, I'm going to do that, all right? So I'm going to have my finger by my mouth and as if words are coming out, all right? So let's go back to the start, and I'm going to see if I can put that all together. Ready? So, once upon a time, there was a pig called Babe. He was so much more than a normal pig. He was a magical pig who could speak. Okay, so next part, he had 3 children. Ready? I'm going to go for, he had 3 children. Percy, Pepper, and Penny. He soon realised, so if you're realising something, I might go for this. He soon realised that they would not be able to live on Farmer, I'm going to do like a barn, okay? They would not be able to live on Farmer Hoggett's farm, okay? Let's try and put that together. So he had 3 children, Percy, Pepper, and Penny. He soon realised that there would not be enough, that they would not be able to live on Farmer Hoggett's farm. Unfortunately, there it is, okay, unfortunately, there would not be enough room for them. I'm going to put my hands out like that, okay, or if you want to do room, okay, maybe imagine they're all crammed in really tight, okay, so there would not be enough room for them. Okay, so let's try that again. Unfortunately, there would not be enough room for them. And Babe feared, if you're fearing, you might be a bit worried, and Babe feared that Mrs. Hoggett would want to eat all of them, just as she had wanted to eat Babe. Okay, so I'm going to try and put all of that together, all right? So that first paragraph, if you've got it in front of you, great. If not, see if you can follow me, okay? Ready? Once upon a time, there was a pig called Babe. He was so much more than a normal pig. He was a magical pig who could speak. He had 3 children, Percy, Pepper, and Penny. he soon realised that they would not be able to live on Farmer Hoggett's farm. Unfortunately, there would not be enough room for them. And Babe feared that Mrs. Hoggett would want to eat all of them, just as she had wanted to do to Babe when she first met him. Okay, so I've just acted out the first paragraph of the Babe's Three Little Pigs. All right, if you'd like to use my actions, feel free. Okay, what you want to be able to do is eventually, I'm going to let you into a little secret. I've had the words next to me, all right, to help me retell the story. The trick is those of you that can retell the story without the words, all right? So what you want to do, see if you can get the first paragraph done and see if you can get the second one done as well, all right? And then it gets a bit easier, all right? Use the words if you're stuck, all right? See if you can retell the story, because tomorrow the first challenge is going to be being able to retell the story. So see if you can remember it today. Read it tonight before you go to bed, perhaps. That's always a good way of remembering things. The last thing that I didn't mention just in that bit of story there, punctuation. So things like full stops. Okay, what action could we do for that? Okay, I know if we were doing it in a picture, we might use a different colour pen when we're doing our story maps to add in some colours. Okay, if you're acting it out, okay, a good signal or sign for full stop, okay, I just do a punch like that, okay? So at the end of each sentence, you could put that in as well, all right? Just, again, another idea, all right? As I said, today, if you can take any photos, there's no writing, all right? So you've done lots of writing, I'm aware of that. There's no writing. I want you to really concentrate on mastering this story. See if you can act it out. Say you need to be able to speak the story first. All right. See if you can definitely, I'd expect all of us to be able to do that first paragraph. Okay. If you can go on, even better. I might even give a special prize out to anybody that can film themselves doing the story. All right. It'd be great to see. Good luck. Any questions, please shout. As I said, I've attached the story to the PDF. So if you need to have a look at it there, do so. If not, zoom back to earlier in the film to see it. All right. Good luck, and I'll speak to you later. Have a good day, Year 3.